Hi everyone and welcome back. Now today we're going to talk about the gut-bacteria connection and a child's development. Remember, this is all sound science but made really simple so we can understand it and use it to our advantage. Now, as we mentioned earlier, it's only the specific good bacteria which are able to pre-digest parts of our food to make it microscopically smaller so we can actually absorb it into our body through the lining of the gut wall. Now, we humans simply can't chew our food fine enough. And they also release other important nutrients from the food molecules, again, so we can absorb them. We humans simply can't do that on our own. And that is two very good common reasons why an unhealthy gut bacteria colony can lead to nutritional deficiency, which includes in our children. And it's our gut bacteria that rids our body of 40% of all toxic substances that we take on board. And the rest of the toxic substances are broken down by the body chemistry or locked up in the fiber of the food that we eat and then passed out as poo. And that means if 40% of all toxins are not removed from our system because of an unhealthy gut bacteria colony, we can end up with severe toxic infections of all kinds. Now get this, throughout our life, from a newborn baby to a centurion, we have different numbers and species of beneficial bacteria which are vital for not only the balancing of hormones, but also our mental and emotional development. And get this, not only is the presence of specific bacteria species critical for the development of all children, but the strategic presence of those bacteria in a child's life creates the platform and is essential for the next bacteria species to be able to colonize and carry out their part in the next stage of the child's physical, mental and emotional development. And so on, with different species right throughout our life. Now, if for whatever reason the species are missing, then the development of an individual can be impaired. Now, who would have guessed? So just like a forest that has been cleared of the dominant trees and the regrowth comes back in stages, which allows the next layer of regrowth to establish, which allows the next layer of regrowth to establish. Yep, step by step by step. It turns out they're all connected. Now, ironically, simply by replacing specific bacteria species and promoting a healthy environment for them, which means a healthy environment for us, which means food and lifestyle, then health issues have been known to reverse. Now, isn't that amazing? So how can these specific bacteria be missing in a newborn baby? Well, there are three obvious reasons. The mother has a poor diet and toxic influences, the result of cesarean births, where the newborn doesn't pass down the birth canal, collecting specific bacteria on the way from a healthy mother, and the child simply doesn't get those specific bacteria. And number three is the lack of breast milk, which ironically also contains huge amounts of those specific bacteria, gut bacteria, which are essential for this new baby. It has recently been discovered that just before birth, these specific gut bacteria located in the large colon of the mother hitch a ride inside the blood cells to the breast, where they are deposited in the milk and taken up by the newborn. Now, isn't that amazing for sure? So how can an otherwise active, well-developed young child suddenly end up with health issues of all kinds? And remember, as we've mentioned earlier, genetics only plays a 1 to 2% role in all of this issue. And that leaves lifestyle. So one reason which is seldom tested for is an unhealthy gut bacteria colony, which is the direct result of the food they are given to eat and stress coming from every level. Okay, in today's world, just how does that happen? Well, the most common and successful way to achieve an unhealthy gut bacterial colony in any child is to simply provide the child with excessive amounts of yummy, sweet, convenient, glucose-rich, highly processed, therefore nutritionally poor chemicals sold as food. Yep. Now, which conveniently kills off all the beneficial gut bacteria and opens the door for all of those non-beneficial types, along with many mental and emotional health imbalance and other health issues. Now, add to that poor sleep habits, a really common problem in children and young adults today. Now, around 100 years ago, children used to sleep up to 12 hours per night. But in today's world, with having to get up to go to school early and bits and pieces like that, they are actually only sleeping on average just over 8 hours. That's not good for a child's development, as it turns out. And add to that aggressive and inappropriate social media content, and not to forget the silent worry of any child taking their unprocessed thoughts, feelings and emotions to bed with them, as children do. And it all amounts to overwhelming stress, the ancient stress response. And they react so readily because their tiny systems are so fragile, as they are still developing a baseline of experiences to work from. Now, the good news is that it can all be corrected by making changes that promotes a healthy child development environment and not allowing those things to undermine it. Easier said than done? Yep, for sure, but clearly achievable. Now, because of ongoing stress and a poor diet for many people around the world, which includes people in New Zealand, it is now a specific group of bad bacteria which often dominates their beneficial bacteria because they thrive on a high glucose diet. And they instruct our human brain to find and consume more sugar and high glucose products. And we do, and we don't even know it's them doing it. Now, isn't that crazy? Now, it's made easier because it's all around us, for sure, but it also has everything to do with the production of the hormone dopamine, which happens to light up the addiction center of our brain, which is also another problem. Remember, in an earlier video, we talked about the modern sugar chemical, as referred to by the World Health Organization, being more addictive than the drug cocaine. Wow. Now, unless we do something different, we can never get enough sugary foods and be satisfied, because those sugar-consuming gut bacteria and our natural sugar addiction can never be satisfied. As the population of these bacteria grows, we crave more of it every time to quench their sugary cravings, and we end up working for them until we die of any of the 21st century modern diseases that we've talked about. Or we choose not to and push back. Now, remember also, as we discussed earlier, the scientific finding that 99% of all metabolic diseases result from eating the wrong foods. Now, the big four metabolic diseases are heart and cardiovascular issues, cancer, dementia, and type 2 diabetes. I believe that knowing this is great news, as it is something we can change for ourselves if we choose to, and a reminder that the health system is not there to change it for us. Only we can do that. So there we go. I thought that was quite interesting. We'll catch you later. Bye bye.